Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Billikens Hub post-game. I'm Eric Sontag. That's Matt Rocchio. We'll be joined in a little bit by the voice of the Billikens, Bob Ramsey. The Billikens A10 conference tournament run comes to an end with the 72-64 loss to Loyola in the quarterfinals. SLU wraps up the season at 19-14. Guess there's a chance they get an invite to one of those consolation tournaments, but we'll just have to wait and see. But disappointed the Bills couldn't make a deeper run in DC. Before we get going here, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the Sports Hub STL YouTube channel, and a reminder, all of our post-game shows here on Sports Hub STL are sponsored by Hot Shots, home of St. Louis sports fans since 1990. All the games, all the time. If you live in the St. Louis area, there's a Hot Shots near you. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Rock, disappointing end to the season. Give us your general takeaways from the game today.
It's everything we saw just throughout the season that was bad for the Billikens. You know, they don't get off to the good start that they really showed that they needed to win these games. You know, late they don't hit free throws. They're getting bad foul calls against them. They're turning the ball over. Only Isaiah Swope's the only one who really shows up. I know Robbie Avila gets to 12 points, but he doesn't do it in a very efficient way in any way, shape, or form. He misses that 1-and-1 late, which essentially mathematically almost sealed the game for the Ramblers. It's just everything that has crept up and cost the Billikens games this year all came together and cost them the most important one of the season to that point.
Yeah, totally agree. It's just the depth has been an issue all season long, and there just was not enough here in this game to get it done. As Isaiah Swope, really the only one of the big three who really produced a big game today. Swope finishes with 30 points, including 6 threes. Robbie Avila, as you mentioned, 12 points, 6 rebounds. So not bad, but below his average of where you want to be.
Yeah.
And Gibson Jimerson, man, I don't want to say anything negative about this guy. An incredible career, but just a really difficult way to end it with just 4 points, 2 of 7 from the field, and stunning no 3-pointers, 0 of 5 from 3. So Rock, just give us your take on the big three today, maybe specifically Jimerson.
That's the worst way you could ever imagine Gibson Jimerson's career ending, and it's such a huge bummer. 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. The man does not deserve to finish his college basketball career not hitting a 3-pointer in his final game. I hope they take one of the consolation tournaments, as you called it, because I just want to see Gibson Jimerson play another game. Isaiah Swope, if this is his last game, and of course I mentioned it earlier today on the Randy Carricker show with Brooke Grimsley and Brendan Schaefer, he might get that extra year because his first year of eligibility was at a D2 school. So he could pull out another year. So this might not be the last time we see Isaiah Swope. But if it is the last time, what a game. 30 points on 22 shots, 6 of 15 from deep. He also tags in 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal as well. Only 2 turnovers on the game for Isaiah Swope. If that is his last college basketball game, an incredible game from him. On the other side, kind of heartbreaking for Gibson, but I think the other thing is that, a year ago, if we were talking about Gibson's last game, that would be the end of Gibson Jimerson's career. But now, after what he saw this season, there's a chance we maybe see him play some pro later on down the road. Maybe it is just Europe, and that could be fun. So there is some positivity there, and an unfortunately negative game.
Yeah, just a disappointing end, but yeah, just an incredible career for Gibson Jimerson. My compatriots at the Domesticated Gamblers, 2-possession game. SLU plays great defense as the shot clock goes off. We couldn't get the rebound. That was a big theme of the game. Offensive rebounds kind of reared their ugly head. Offensive rebounds 10-6 in favor of Loyola. Rebounds overall 37-30 for the Ramblers. And really, I just think SLU got pushed around inside a good chunk of the game. Points in the paint favor the Ramblers 34-24. Looks like we got Rock trying to reconnect here. Imagine he'll join us here in just here a minute or two. We got Tito Ulrich on the YouTube chat. Sister Jean and the Ramblers used to have a special place in my heart when it comes to Barch badness, but woof on the Ramblers. Yeah, Sister Jean still going strong. The Ramblers get it done today over the Billikens by a score of 72-64 as Rock rejoins us. Rock, I was talking about the rebounds and the points in the paint. Offensive boards 10-6 for Loyola. Rebounds overall 37-30. And points in the paint, the Bills really just got pushed around, especially early in the game, I thought, as the tone got set. 34-24 points in the paint for the Ramblers. So just give us your thoughts on that part of the game.
Yeah, physically, that's another thing that has been such a big problem for the Billikens this year. It's why they lost some of their biggest games. And so physically, since rears its ugly head, and it's part of the reason they lost this game. And that's a huge bummer overall because it looks like they had solved it. They beat VCU at home. It looks like they had solved it. They fought hard. They're down by 16 against Dayton. They fought back and almost win that game. All these games where they fought hard and had to go against teams who played hard, and they wilted against Loyola Chicago. And frankly, if that's how they were going to play in DC, they weren't going to beat VCU. And so, you're on the plane a little bit earlier. So that's the unfortunate part of just so many things that we saw earlier in the season, thought got solved, but clearly did not.
Yeah, I think that's it. And you've mentioned over the last couple of days that you had a really difficult time seeing this team win 3 games in 3 days, let alone 4 games in 4 days. Today was very much of a coin flip game with Loyola. These teams super even across the board when you look at the stats overall for the season. But I just keep going back to it's just at the end of the day, if you're going to make a run like this, you need depth. And with the injuries and the defections and everything that happened this season, really some good minutes today from Dylan Warlick, 7 points and 3 rebounds. McCautry, man, this kid's going to be a stud, but, not his best game today, just 2 points. Did have 6 rebounds, got in some foul trouble as well. And then the rest of the supporting cast, just even on the starting lineup. I mean, I love you, Kobe Johnson, but no points, 1 rebound, and no assists in 23 minutes. Kalu Anya, some decent contributions, 9 points and 4 boards from the starting lineup. So outside the big 3, give us your take on the rest of the Billikens roster today.
Yeah, I mean, Kalu Anya didn't score in the previous game, but he played great defense, and that was enough. But Kobe Johnson's got to have an impact on this team, and that's something that changed in January and February is Kobe Johnson starting to have an impact on this team, and Kalu's kind of disappeared offensively, and so you needed somebody to have somebody else step up. And again, no one else stepped up today. Dylan Warlick a little bit. Amari McCautry, he's not going to go 5 for 5 every game, so that was unreasonable to expect. But he looked solid on defense, pulled down some rebounds, got a couple assists. So, but to your point, it's just no one else from the big 3 other than Swope, and nobody else outside of the big 3 decided to really step up, and that's been universal. They have lost those games every time when they haven't got a second or third person to kick in, and that's what you should expect. Basketball teams shouldn't win a lot of games when only one player shows up.
Yeah, and a question here from Tito on the chat. I wonder if Robbie's banged up. He definitely did not look right at all today. I think everyone is banged up on this roster at this point, and Robbie's just, not the most graceful player in the world anyway. So I don't think really injuries is an excuse for this. And also, I never really like using officiating as an excuse. We can joke about the Zebras and how bad they can be. Nick asked, does it seem like the Bills are consistently on the wrong side of some questionable officiating? I just don't see that at all. I would imagine you would co-sign that, Rock.
I mean, it's yes, this was a bad season, but these things come out in the wash, and usually they come out in the wash game by game. You get some calls one game, you don't get calls a lot of games. Yes, if you're a Billikens fan, you're probably looking at this season and saying, I feel like we were complaining about the officiating a lot more than we should have and a lot more than normal. That's fine, but it's also a create your own luck situation. When the margins are this small to make any error and still be in a game, you're going to naturally focus on these moments that change the game and don't go your way. But, if you were playing a little bit better, we wouldn't be talking about these moments. I'm sure there were some missed calls in that 30-point win over the Ramblers a month ago that we never talked about because they won by 30.
I totally agree. I honestly think, and I know, there's some joking around in the chat and people do feel that way and it's emotional. You're a fan. I get it. I really think it's kind of a loser mentality to blame officiating. I think that's not taking responsibility for your own performance. Billikens got beat today by a team that played better than them. I think that's at the end of the day, that's what happened. Also from my compatriots, the domesticated gamblers, the under did cash. It did come in today. Ramblers cover the spread and the under cashes as well. Total was
like you said, another conference tournament under cashes.
It's what we do. So yeah, the total was 141.5. Game closes at 136. So the under comes through. I believe the Billiken unders finish at 22-8 on the season. All right. Looks like Rock, you got to take off here. So I can let you go. All good, brother.
You're all good. Just some final thoughts on the Billiken season. There's a lot of hope for next year. When you talk about Zach Schertz and this team going forward, there's a lot to believe in. They're going to get involved in the NIL. They're going to get involved in the portal this spring to rebuild that team with Gibson leaving, with Kobe leaving, with most likely Isaiah Swope leaving. But we'll obviously keep you updated on Sports Hub STL with any of the Isaiah Swope information does break. And also, if you are a Billikens fan and you really don't want to give up on the Billikens, go to Sports Hub STL and check out my sit down for Zach with Zach Boisvert. Great deep dive stuff for Billikens fans, and if you're sad that season's over, that'll get you excited for next year.
Absolutely, man. Well, Rock, we'll let you go. Thanks for being with me, and thanks for all your outstanding coverage on the Billikens this season. I like nerding out on some college hoops, so enjoy reading your stuff on sportshubstl.com and following you on Twitter. So appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll be doing some basketball stuff over the summer and then hitting it super hard when the Billikens tip off for 2025, 2026.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, Rock. I'll go for just a few more minutes here as we wrap up our Billikens Hub post-game show. Billikens lose this one to Loyola 72-64. The season is over for the Billikens. At least we think potentially still an invite pending for one of those consolation postseason tournaments. A couple other big things from the game today. And if you guys have thoughts on the game today, feel free to throw them in the chat. Tito saying, complaining about the Zebras is a loser mentality. How dare you? Sorry, Tito. I think it is, man. We got to take some responsibility for our actions. We got to take some responsibility for the Billikens and their turnovers. I think at the end of the day, the point I really wanted to get across is I think that is what the difference in this game was. So turnovers were a problem for the Billikens really all season long. The total number of turnovers today was not dreadful. They just had 10. But the problem was the points off turnovers. Loyola wins that battle on the points off turnovers 13-5. So the Ramblers win that stat category by 8 points. The final margin of the game is 8 points. So I think the ultimate difference in this game, when SLU made mistakes, the Ramblers came down and capitalized. Billikens lose this one 72-64 to the Ramblers in the A10 tournament quarterfinals. Loyola moving on to take on VCU in the semifinals tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on the Billikens Hub postgame show brought to you by Hot Shots, home of St. Louis sports fans since 1990. All the games, all the time. If you live in the St. Louis area, there's a Hot Shots near you. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Please make sure to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the Sports Hub STL YouTube channel and come back and join us later tonight. We'll have a Mizzou Hub postgame for you after the Tigers game with Florida in the SEC tournament. The game tips off at 6 o'clock tonight. Again, Billikens lose this one 72-64 to Loyola as their A10 tournament run comes to an end. For Matt Rocchio, I'm Eric Sontag. Thanks for being with us on the Billikens Hub postgame right here on Sports Hub STL.